Welcome to the Renegade Nutrition Podcast, where we discuss all things wellness.
I'm Eleni Welch, nutritionist.
And I'm Kay Boyer, health enthusiast. Welcome back, Renegades.
Welcome, Renegades.
Welcome. This is a really interesting episode, I can tell already, Eleni, because it's about women and weight loss. Oh, that's a big topic, and I love our guest today already, Hannah. You've been so open and funny about everything, so I'm going to ask you all the questions, and I can't wait.
Yes. Welcome to the podcast, Hannah Brandt. We are excited to have you on, and you have your own nutrition guidance, coaching, weight loss program, which I'm going to let you tell our viewers about. But HLB Lifestyle, I think, is the name, right? Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Good.
Good.
Thank you so much for just having me on. I'm so excited to chat with you ladies. Like you had just said, like we already had a great banter. Like, let's go.
Yeah. Let's hit record. Let's get the audience listening. So, okay. Already I asked you and you gave it an amazing answer. So what is it that you do and how did you get there?
So the business started by accident. Long story short, I graduated with my doctoral degree in physical therapy at my heaviest. That was so fun. Uh-huh. And I just didn't feel like I looked the part educating my patients. I was an outpatient orthopedics, on meaningful exercise, and I didn't look the part. And they weren't judging me. I worked with wonderful people, but I didn't feel good. Mm-hmm. So I went on my own weight loss journey, and in doing so, I lost 60 pounds. That's an astronomical amount of weight looking back.
Yes.
And people that used to know me, you kind of always trust the quiet, smart girl. Mm-hmm. That was me. And so people from high school, undergrad, grad school, just saw me looking different in my photos when I'd, post, date night with the husband. And they just started sliding into my text messages, people I hadn't heard from in years, or like on social media, like, hey, you look different. How? Please help me. How did you? And I'm like, I was so passionate about it. I joked, I'm like, if I could stand on my roof and yell about this, I would. I struggled with my weight my whole life. And I feel like I cracked the code. Like I have all the secrets and I want to share them all. So I was just doing it for fun before and after patient care hours. And then their friends started reaching out. And so I was like, I'll help you too. So I started going public on social media more as a joke. Then people I didn't know started hiring me, and I was like, oh, so I really do this now. And it's been about 6 years, and I do it full time. I have a team, and we kind of say we help women lose weight and never find it again using really sustainable methods. Our clients are real women with real jobs and lives and families, and they want to learn how to feel good in their skin and look the way they want, have energy, show up the way they want, without having to reach for sketchy looking supplements or injections and things like that. It's just I want to do it the right way. And we're starting to develop a lot of referral partners with physicians in the process.
Wow. Okay. I love that you're going to disclose all your secrets today too, to help out our listeners. And I love it. So how long, let's take us on your journey of weight loss. How long was it? Trial and error? Did you cry a lot? Tell me all the details. Yeah.
Girl, I remember one day laying down on the hamster control machine and just busting out into tears. It's not all sparkles and rainbows.
Yep.
But the difference was, after I was the epitome, I was the poster child. Nothing works for me. Nothing. I do everything right. Nothing works for me because I ate my salads and I was trying to run more, but I was also eating half a box of Cheez-Its after dinner. That didn't count though, obviously, because it was after dark.
Yeah.
So I was just I was stuck, but also feeling like I should know better. I should know how to do this. You need to eat right and you exercise and you lose weight. We all seem to feel like we should know how to do it. Mm-hmm. And I just had to take a hard look in the mirror and be like, I have nothing but 15 years of failed diets to prove otherwise. That I truly do not got this. So I hired a coach that a friend of mine had worked with. I'd never heard of online virtual health and fitness coaching, and she was working with this guy and was like, I'm getting great results. And I was like, sure, why not? He was the worst.
That's not what I expected you to say.
I didn't either. I thought no, the worst. Scum of the earth. Oh my gosh. I will never forget this conversation. I was asking more around clarity. I'm like, I feel like for as hard as I've been working, I would have been further along. Are my expectations needing adjusted? What's the gap here? Because I truly want to understand you know, like, as you know, like coming in at that time, I had quite the ego, like this doctor of physical therapy, this new grad. I'm like, I have to hire a personal trainer to help me lose weight. Like, it felt weird at first, but I wanted to learn. And I was met with, anytime I ask questions, I always get results. You must be cheating. And I was like, you got me. In 18 weeks, I had 1 square of Dove dark chocolate off plan, quote, quote. So I fired him on the spot. I was so mad, snorting mad. And then I went back into, obviously I'm broken. I have a damaged metabolism. It also is obviously my hormones, and nothing works for me. Like I spiraled into that again. And then I was like, okay, I have a choice. I can let this one terrible excuse of a coach dictate my future, or I can find someone better. So I scoped out a couple different coaches, ended up hiring one who doesn't even do it anymore, and truly started seeing results in quickly, because it was the first time that someone said, Hannah, let's look at you. What does your life look like? What do your goals look like? What are you currently doing? And it really opened my eyes in the fact that I'm like, I do this with my patients every day. I can't develop your plan of care when I was still working clinically without an evaluation and assessment. So I'm like, why would I ever expect to be able to get a quote diet plan without an evaluation and assessment of where I am? So that's how we start all of our clients now, but probably finish, I would say 60 pounds, and this is not flashy or fancy, on and off dieting, probably about a year and a half to 2 years. So that's, women want to lose 50 pounds in 1 year. I so get that. I wanted to lose weight yesterday, but it was slower and calculated, but it was steady. That was the big difference for me. I needed to focus on direction I was headed over speed of getting there.
Yeah. Yep. And sustainability with that.
Exactly. I was not going to work that hard to put it all back on. That's for sure.
Yeah, and I feel like the slow and steady wins the race is always safer too, just because our body, when we're exposed to toxins, tends to store it in our fat to protect our bloodstream and our cells from it. And so when people lose a lot of weight very quickly, it can actually release a lot of toxins into your bloodstream. And if you don't have a plan for how to help your body deal with those toxins, you can end up feeling really sick. And then you can gain the weight back again because your body doesn't know what to do with the toxins. So it's I need to store them in the fat.
And then you just feel bad.
Yeah.
You've seen it. You've seen your friend who starts losing weight, and then all of a sudden they just look really inflamed, and you're just like, you all right?
Yeah.
Oh God, I don't think you're all right.
You look good, but you don't look good. Yeah.
You good? Are we good? I'm gonna ask it in a question form, here to support you, sister, but what's up?
Yeah.
So without you giving away all of your, whatever you want to share with us, we want to take, what were some things that you made changes in that really seemed to work and could help our listeners?
It really was taking ownership over the fact that I had never once had a plan or strategy around my nutrition. That was the bigger thing. I was always a high school athlete. You did the volleyball, you did lacrosse, I snowboarded, I played club lacrosse in college. I was always active. So I'm very aware and fortunate that I've never been nervous to walk into a gym. Even when I didn't look the part and was really struggling with my weight, I was never intimidated to hold a dumbbell because I did it in high school. So I was very fortunate that just getting a tailored exercise program for me helped, because I didn't walk into the gym with a question mark over my head. What am I going to do today? How many reps? How many sets? Was that enough? Was that too much? Cardio? Yes? No? How much? How many times? On the stair thingy that you see on Instagram? The questions, those went away when I had proper guidance. But the bigger piece for me was nutrition, because I was just taking generic advice over the years of we all know you should eat protein. Vegetables are good. And that's pretty much it. Then you see the magazine covers, it should be skinny this, low calorie this, fat's the devil. No, it's sugar. No, it's gluten. It finally was a potent strategy, because for me, it was I like healthy food. Again, that was a great thing for me. I'm not a picky eater, but I'm I need to know how much God-forsaken protein I actually need to eat. And can we talk about sweet potato tots?
Yes.
It was I needed to figure out the potent balance of how much of the good stuff and how to bring in the quote off limits things in a way that was complementary to my goals. Because I had that viewpoint of chocolate was bad. You shouldn't have dessert. And when I finally got someone's guidance to look directly at me, I can honestly say I ate dessert every night of my weight loss journey, because that was something I wasn't willing to give up. I got a sweet tooth from my dad.
Yeah.
I got myself for salt from my mom. I'm team appetizer and dessert. Why pick?
Yes.
So I needed a way to be able to scratch that itch instead of feeling so restricted all the time, because that was my prior. Restrict, eat everything. Restrict, eat everything, which is not a healthy place to be at all.
Yep.
Yeah.
So what were those like protein numbers and things like that really helped you key that in?
Gosh, we're rewinding over 10 years now. That's how long it's been.
And you've kept it on for 10 years, so that's incredible. That's incredible.
Thank you. I really think most women know how to lose at least a little weight. Like most women know how to get even like 5-10 pounds off. The issue is so many women use a strategy to get those 5-10 pounds off, and then they get stuck when in reality they wanted to lose 30. And so I'm pretty sure my protein was probably between like 120 grams a day and 140 grams a day for a good part of that like actual weight loss journey. Currently, like I've gone through some like gut health stuff, like a little bit more functional stuff, and it's actually quite a bit lower. So it ebbs and flows, but especially like newer into like a formal structured weight loss journey, I do see a lot of women benefit from protein around that 120 seems to be like a decent sweet spot. But I've also inherited so many clients where I'm like going through their food logs. They're getting maybe 60 grams of protein a day. I'm like, nothing wrong with that. A lot of room for improvement. I'm not going to bump them up to 120. That would be like unreasonable for their lifestyle. I'll say like, why don't we work on hitting 85 consistently? And then why don't we get 100 consistently? Like stepping stone them to where it feels good for them.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, you know, I want to kind of dive into this topic of like diet culture, which we're just immersed in, especially as
social media,
the United States nation and social media. And it is just everywhere. And weight loss is a taboo topic. Like we were kind of looking, you know, over some of these conversation talking points before we hopped on with you. And I really like that point and I want to dive into it because I think it's so weird to find this balance, even as a nutritionist, of I know that being overweight is dangerous for like all cause mortality. Like you are at a higher risk of dying from everything when you are at an unhealthy weight. And yet we're also like on the flip side immersed in this culture where everybody is now hypersensitive to like, you should feel beautiful no matter what you look like, which I agree with. Yeah. Like you should feel beautiful no matter what you look like. And can we acknowledge the fact that you can look and feel beautiful at whatever weight you're at, and it's not about being beautiful, it's about being healthy. And so now there's kind of like, you know, we talk about like fat shaming in America, and like it is a big problem, right? Like there's supermodels that are unrealistically shaped. They're like photoshopped beyond recognition. Social media allows us to like Photoshop beyond recognition. Like we can post the best one out of 1,000 photos. I love those accounts where they show like what they looked like in the like Instagram photo and what they actually looked like in real life when people do the side by side, because it just makes you feel so much better. But it's like social media allows these really unrealistic body expectations. And it's kind of this just really difficult dance of how do we help people understand that losing weight is important to be healthy, and it's not important to be beautiful, but you also will feel better about yourself if you lose weight. But I also feel like I'm not allowed to talk about it because talking about it now is fat shaming. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
I definitely know what you mean.
As a nutritionist, it's such this like fine line. I feel like I'm on thin ice all the time, and I'm like,
you're trying to address losing the weight, and they're like, don't touch that, that's rude. And you're like, but wait, your health.
I'm not like, I'm about building health, right? Like you, as long as you're healthy, your numbers look healthy, your systems are healthy, everything is functioning. Like your weight is a secondary metric to that, but because it influences so many of your body systems and your immune health and your hormone health, it's like, it's important to be at a healthy weight. So anyway.
And you've been good with me too, because I like to be like, I grew up in the 90s, right? We're like, what's that model who's like tiny, like almost like cocaine chic, you know what I mean? And like, so Elaine's done a good job of like, okay, Kate, you have a healthy weight, but don't get too skinny, because that's actually not healthy for you. So also like too much weight or too little weight, it's got to be your sweet spot. So kind of talk through all that.
Help us navigate this taboo topic. And why is the taboo around it like why is that endangering our society?
I mean, how much time do you have?
Yes.
A series on this. This is one of my most passionate things to talk about. Like, because like you said, like you need that sweet spot. I joke with clients. I'm like, body fat is like salt to a recipe. Too much, you're probably not going to love it. Like, you're just not going to feel great. Not going to taste great. Too little, you're like, also don't love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
A little bit bland.
So I really feel like social media has made it easy for people to pick teams. For a long time in like the health and fitness space, it was like team no days off and like really intense. That was not healthy either. But then like body positivity came, and it is founded in such pure roots, which I love. We should be able to respect ourselves, but somewhere along the line, it seems like that women lost the ability to ever want to change their body without people assuming it was from a negative place. Weight loss does not have to be negative. It can be empowering and positive and healthy. And honestly, if it is vanity driven, if it's going to get them healthier, let's go. I don't care if you want me to help you work through some gut stuff too, because you actually work in like a cosmetology based field, or you're in like the spa space. Your skin does matter in your line of work. So if that's your motive, let's go. I truly like to walk the line of like, you should be able to value healthy blood lipids, proper glucose levels, and a high functioning thyroid, and poop regularly, and care about how your ass looks in your jeans. All of it gets to be okay. And I truly feel like there are people that took the body positivity camp too far. Like we're in agreement. Like you truly can be healthy at almost any size, because like the research is great. Fitness levels are a much better prediction of someone's health over their body fat percentage. So if someone is working out regularly, even if they have extra adiposity, if they're healthy, keep doing that. If you are healthy and vibrant and comfortable, like big fan, keep doing that. But if maybe you do have some hormone issues, maybe your estrogen's a little bit too high, we know it's stored in adiposity. Maybe losing a body fat percentage, maybe 5-10% of your body fat, is going to help level out your hormones and help make your period suck less. That gets to be okay. And this is like a really relevant topic. I was speaking recently on social media explaining, I did a cut about 1.5 years ago now, and it was the slowest cut of my life. My body had put on a decent bit of weight after I got off hormonal birth control. I was going through some gut stuff, just functional stuff kind of comes up. So I addressed it. I let my body gain weight in the process, and I was like, all right, let's have some fun and get like lean and shreddy again, just because I enjoy the process. I like the challenge. It wasn't because I hated myself, but I just wanted to do it. So I did. And my average rate of weight loss was under the normative. Like you're looking for everyone to fall, 0.5 pounds to 1.2 pounds per week on average. I was 0.4 pounds a week. I was losing less than 2 pounds a month. But it was slow and steady, and I was educating. I'm like, I had a choice: slow progress, no progress. So I chose slow, and I felt healthy the whole time. And I had someone slide into my messages and was just like, why are we always having to get smaller body diet culture, weight loss is so effing toxic. Like went at me. I'm like, of all things, I'm like, I talked about how slow this journey was and like how good I felt the whole time. So I clapped back. I thought it was fun. Yeah. And I was just like, I am on your side. Diet culture can be very toxic with unrealistic expectations of being, chiseled at every moment. I'm like, I know what it feels like to have abs in a professional photo shoot and then go sit in my car and hang over my leggings all in the same day. Like people don't see those things. But I was like, yes, diet culture can be toxic. But so is using a platform of body positivity to shame any woman who has a weight loss goal. That is none of your business. I'm like, body positivity is now also turned into a shaming culture. And a lot of women chimed into this conversation and was like, thank you for this perspective. One was like, I got in an accident, had surgery, and I put on a ton of weight during that, and I was so uncomfortable. So I lost weight, and I was so afraid to talk about it because I thought people would shame me for having a weight loss goal because I must hate myself. And I'm like, people just took this positive thing and now we're using that to shame women for weight loss goals, which is just as toxic as the diet culture they're saying they're better than. So we could do a series on this. I have a lot to say.
I know. I kind of want to keep talking about it because I love it. I think it's such an important topic.
Incredible. That was incredible. I'm so glad you clapped back at her because like I tend to get small about it. So that's amazing. You're so right. Like we feel shame that we want to like look good. Like why should I apologize that I want to look pretty? Like why? Like
pretty is a relative term. Some people feel better with more curves.
Yeah.
Some people feel better with less curves. As long as we're doing it from a place that we're not sacrificing our overall health.
Mm-hmm.
Who cares if you actually like the way your arms look when you're maybe a few pounds lighter in the summer and you want to rock your favorite tank top? That doesn't have to be shamed, and it doesn't mean you hate your arms right now. It just you're like, yeah, I could lean in a little. Like, let's have some fun. It gets to be fun and playful and can be very empowering when you can see that you can keep promises to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think even like for me and my own story, like however many years ago it was now. I mean, I've been out of my previous job for more than 2 years.
Yeah.
That's exciting. Out of more than 2 years. But I was so unhappy in that job and so stressed out. And there were a lot of reasons for that I won't dive into. But I gained 20 pounds while I was working there.
Yes.
And I have always been like, I'm short, I'm average height, basically. I'm 5'3", but I'm shorter. I have a smaller frame. 20 pounds was a lot on my frame, and it didn't feel good. And to me, when I got out of that, and it really did take it's now taken, like I'm finally back at my pre-job weight, like the weight I was before I started that toxic, stressful job. It took me 2 years post, and I had to work through a lot of like the emotions and the anger and the resentment and the like frustration and the sadness and all of the things that like I just had to work through, issues that came up and ways of thinking about myself that came up from that job. And I finally, am like happy again in my life. Like I feel like I'm really successful, and the weight started to come off, I think, because I was happy, because I wasn't stressed, which is funny because I'm a new mom, and most people think, oh, being a parent is the most stressful thing you could possibly do with your life. And I'm like, well, go through 3 years of infertility and pregnancy loss and then tell me that being a parent is stressful. Like being a parent is the biggest joy of my life because it took me 3 years to get to that point and I couldn't wait for it. So for me, all of that to say, losing that weight, losing those 20 pounds, it wasn't just about looking better. It was about ridding myself of the weight I gained during a really toxic time in my life and wanting to be finally free of everything that was still linking me to that like emotional situation. And I felt like the weight was kind of the last piece.
Yeah, like you're literal heavier, like emotionally heavier, physically heavier. Now you're lighter.
And it was like the weight was there because of that job, and the weight was a reminder that I had that job and what I had gone through in that job, and losing the weight was an important part of me moving on and being like, okay, I really am better. I really am free from that situation. I still have stress nightmares that I'm in that job sometimes. But like I have my daughter, she's healthy, I'm healthy, like all the things I worked for and worked so hard, like I have this fulfilling job now. I work for myself. I'm happier than I ever have been. Kay is my business partner and I will never work with anybody else. Like, you know what I mean? To me, the weight was linked to something way deeper on an emotional level. And so that was part of losing the weight. And I think a lot of women too, like when they come out of a bad relationship and they want to lose weight, I think that there's a big piece of that to it is like they're wanting to just get rid of the toxic emotions and stress and everything that was like tied in with that association. And gosh, we shouldn't shame that because it's like one of the things that has finally helped me feel like I'm free. Like,
good for you. I couldn't agree more. And it's so crazy now with, how social media is approached. You having, God forbid, the audacity to share that, maybe publicly, people are going to shame you for wanting to lose weight because you should accept yourself as you are, when in reality, a toxic relationship and with your job and environment is what piled it on in the first place. So keeping it on would probably have done worse for you. And like, I love how you said currently you're happier than you've ever been. I'm sure being a mom is a huge part of that. But as someone who has been on both ends, like extremely overweight. Like I remember sitting in the doctor's offices when I was a kid and like watching the chart go up with your weight, and like he's like, this is not healthy. And I'm like, I'm gonna go eat ice cream later. Like I don't really care.
I'm a kid. I'm invincible.
Yep.
It was a lifelong battle. Like I was not like I'm not a naturally lean person. I worked for it, and I feel more like myself now. But as an adult who was overweight, I found less joy in day-to-day things, being a relatively happy person. I'm very much a cup is half full kind of person. I always have been. But even if I had to go to like the grocery store, make a return, do some laundry, I was just more bitter about like doing things. Whereas when I feel healthier at a smaller body fat percentage, and that gets to be okay for me, I don't mind errands as much for some reason. And that was, for some reason, I thought that was so just me. And so one of my current clients, to a point, it doesn't always happen quickly. She is an overnight shift worker. She's a PICU nurse. She's determined to beat me. She's close to 60 pounds down, but she's lost, like she went from being like uncomfortable in like large scrubs to extra small scrubs now have room on her. She's just like, this is like, she's like, people called me tiny, and like she's still working on her like mentality catching up to her body. And even though it's been over 2 years, it's been really slow, but she shared it with me maybe, I don't know, a month ago in one of her check-ins. She was just like, I don't know how to describe it, but I just don't mind life as much anymore. She was like, I used to be so mad after I got off a really late shift if I had to stop by the grocery on the way home. And she goes, I don't mind now. She was like, it's almost like this like weight of like the life just feels a little less oppressive when you're in a body that makes you feel better. And it doesn't have to be about getting as small as possible. But if you're not happy where you are and you think losing weight would help you feel a little bit better, that's fine.
Absolutely.
That's amazing.
Absolutely. And to your point, again, it's every person's decision. And as long as you're not doing it in an unhealthy way, it really is nobody else's beeswax.
Preach.
Right? Like, I just feel like the number of people that jump in, like, if you share your personal journey on social media like you did, the number of people that jump in and have a problem with it.
Have an opinion. Like, what?
I'm like, excuse me.
Yeah.
Is it your body? Because if it's not, shut your mouth.
Yeah.
Like, if you want to go punch a pillow, like, afterwards, and you want to take, like, you know what I mean? Like, you can have your own moment. Like, you're allowed to have your reactions. Don't vent them on me. Like, this is my journey. It's my decision. It's my body. You don't get to tell me what's, like, right or wrong for it. Yeah.
Which really shows that, like, the hater's going to hate, but that's that really reflects their shadow self and their journey, which really shows that they have a place that they need to grow, and maybe they're like a little like jealous seems wrong, but you know what I mean? Like they need something that they're not getting is why they're throwing the hate. I'm putting that out there too.
I agree so much. And that's what I remember having because I have 2 coaches, and we were talking about that dialogue that got created about my slow weight loss journey, and me getting feedback on like diet culture is so effing like coming in hot. I was just like, after I like addressed it, I'm like, this is harmful for women. Like that's why I was like, I'm at this point where I'm like, come at me. Like I put my journey out there. I do this for a living. I get to go to work every day and know with certainty that there's not one woman in the world who wouldn't benefit from what we do, because we're good at this and we do it the right way. So I use it as a place to educate. I'm like, this viewpoint is not healthy either. But I remember talking to my coaches, and I was like, I feel bad for her because that comment, the fact that she saw me talking about a really slow, steady weight loss journey while I was literally walking my dog and had that reaction, there's something going on. Like I feel bad for her in that regard. And like to your point, like everyone has an opinion. I fully understand if I share something on social media, I'm opening opinions up. Like I'm opening that door for it. So looking back, when I was going through my astronomically large weight loss journey, that's when you got huge on Instagram. Like my account would be so like, that is when you grew. And I know mine would have taken off because of how different I was looking. And I never shared it. I didn't share it online. Even some of my friends, I wasn't talking a lot about with, because I made a choice early on that this was for me. I was really serious about doing this. And I did not need haters, nor did I need cheerleaders. I was doing this. I also didn't need you to tell me that I was beautiful and didn't need to lose any more weight after I lost my first 20. Thank you so much for that sentiment, but I'm not done. And that gets to be okay for me. Fully admitting the first time I caught the bug. I was overweight my whole life, and I was losing weight. I got way too skinny the first time. I got lean and shredded, but I needed to do that. I needed to see how that felt, to be like, okay, you're right. That did not make me the happiest I've ever been. I was cold all the time. I was really restrictive with my eating. Like, I took it too far. Then, so now I'm not at my leanest, but I'm at my healthiest. And I know how to gauge that now, but I didn't want to open it up for people to shame me, hate me, or cheerlead me, anything, because I wasn't comfortable enough with my own journey to handle it. So I never even opened that door.
Yeah.
That makes me think of that question. Why do group wellness programs often not work for women who've struggled with weight loss? Does that kind of lean into that one?
It does. And there are some group programs out there that are great. I even have a group program now, but the way I structured it, it's like a scaled down version of my one-on-one. So for me, I never found results nor resonated with group programs that were so generic, that you had like no direct line to like ask questions and everybody had the same calorie goal, or like it was too easy to slide into the background.
Yeah.
And then you're left feeling like, well, this didn't work for me. And you're seeing like Betty Sue from Arkansas drop pound over pound over pound. And you're like, claps for Betty Sue, but like, what about me? Like, I feel like group programs that are so big and like the coaches are so hands off, which I understand some coaches just have that, like, they've scaled to those larger containers. Too many women join that hoping it's going to be the one thing that works, and then it just ends up being another notch on the bedpost, confirming that it's me, because everyone else got success and I didn't. So they just fade into the background, and they're going to be hesitant to ever try again. When if it's someone's first go at health and fitness, you're really kind of a newbie, you might excel in one of those group programs. That's so great for you, because simply eating more protein, eating some vegetables, God forbid we talk about fiber, and drink some water, exercise a little, they're going to see results. Great for them. But the woman that has been yo-yo dieting for the past 15 years, that's not going to work for you, those generic things. If the generic things have never worked, leaning harder into generic things isn't going to help. Like the boat, it doesn't matter how hard you're rowing the boat if it's headed the wrong direction.
Right.
They need more very potent advice, and you just feel bad because they just hop from like quote budget friendly to budget friendly generic program, which I respect. People are on a budget, like it has to make sense financially to like engage in like health and fitness containers, but sometimes it's almost like your money would have been better spent buying some produce and maybe booking like a one-time consultation with someone to look at you.
Yeah, I agree. Because I think like when I first read that question, that like suggested question, I was like, oh, but I love the community support. But now I totally get what you're saying, because when it's just group advice and it's like, hey, here's the advice everybody is going to follow, and it's not bio-individualized, and they're not looking at like, what do your hormones look like? What do your stress levels look like? What is your like emotional health? Like, what are the relationships in your life like? What is your time like? What's your schedule like? You know what I mean? Like there's so many factors that influence what a person is able to do and how they're able to do it. And a group program is like, here you go, eat, 100 grams of protein
the average, a day. And no one's average.
Yeah, eat this much produce. And like, it doesn't take into account any of the bio-individuality. So I totally agree in that. And I do like the group aspect of support. So like everybody on their own plan, doing their own thing that's bio-individualized, and then finding people who can be a community with you, because I think we reflect the health of our friends. So I think when people are on this, and you could speak to this, Hannah, but I think when you're on this weight loss journey or this health gain, like let's call it a health gaining journey, like when you're on that, if you're still with the people who are like eating whatever they want and eating crappy and going out every weekend and drinking and like
feeling crappy
and doing whatever, like kind of having these toxic lifestyles, and you're trying to you're like the crab trying to climb out of the bucket, right? And all the other crabs are pulling you back down. Like, I think it's so important to like have that like community aspect where you do have friends who mirror your values so they can support you in that journey. So I just wanted to like kind of clarify that piece too. It's not like the community piece is bad. It's like generic group advice is not helpful.
I couldn't agree more. And it's why I hesitated to ever start a group coaching container, because one-on-one is what changed my life. So I've been doing this for 6 years now professionally, and I had done clinical work as a PT for just shy of 10 years before that. And I ended up starting a group coaching program about 6 months ago, because I also started realizing not everyone's just like me. Not everyone needs all of that support, and there is power in numbers. So we started this group coaching program where they get a chance to fill out an individual check-in every week. And we're literally, are you pooping every day? Like, let me have it. Like, let me know, where are we in your menstrual cycle? Like, what's going well, what's not? Like, I can see how many workouts they checked off. They tell me if they want home or gym, so I can customize it a little bit, still in a group setting. And one of them, for example, she's a busy lawyer. And I'm like, okay, it looks like 3 days a week of exercising seems to be this insurmountable hill. We need to get a win in the win column. So how about I actually pare you down to 2 per week? And she's like, that sounds like a breath of fresh air. So it's a way to like have a group container, because there is no true one-on-one dialogue. That's what our one-on-one coaching is. But they have that individual check-in form to tell me what's up. And once a week, we do a video recording going over everyone's check-in form, answering every question, but we code name it. So when they join, they all started picking animals or food. So we just went with it. And in there, I literally have like a penguin, nachos, a manatee. And so if I know if the penguin, I know her real name, but like ask me a question, I call her out in the video check-in that goes to everyone. And I'm like, Penguin, you are really struggling with time management this past week with the little ones. Have you thought about it like this? So I can like air out their dirty laundry without anyone knowing who I'm talking about. So it's a way to keep it, everybody gets to learn from everyone, but you do have a way to get tangible like feedback specifically for you. And if people want even like lesser, like pared down version, we started what we called our basic SDS, Healthy Habits membership. And it truly is getting women consistent with 100 grams of protein, 3 servings of vegetables, 100 ounces of water, 8,000 steps a day, 7 hours of sleep. And they just get to check those off in their app every day. And we go and support that community twice a week for some women that are just at capacity. And they're like, I need to do something. I can't work out. I cannot, like, I need it to be non-time consuming. Like, let's give them a low barrier to entry in a membership way to try and meet more women where they are, and like not have a container where they can get lost. Because that was my biggest fear. I never want someone to trust myself or my coaches, and we end up continuing to feed into their belief that they're broken, it's their metabolism, and nothing will ever work for them. I never want anyone to have that experience on our team.
Yeah, I love that. And I think that leans hard into one of the things I wanted to talk to you about today, which is helping women prioritize themselves when it isn't convenient. Because I think we just kind of touched on that topic a few different times. And like now more than ever, being a new mom, I completely get it. I feel like this extreme amount of empathy for that. I didn't when I was just like nutrition coaching. I was like, you have to take care of yourself or you can't take care of anyone else. And I
take the time,
you deserve it. And all of that is true, right? And then I became a mom and I'm like, it's
holy crap.
Literally impossible sometimes. Like my daughter is almost 9 months old and I'm just now getting back into a routine of regular self-care, yoga in the morning and meditation. And like, it took us 9 months to get to that place. And I wanted to do it that whole time. There just were days it literally didn't feel possible.
I don't have it to give. I don't have it.
I would say it wasn't impossible. It didn't feel possible. So like, how do you help women? What advice do you have to help women prioritize themselves even when it's not convenient? Because I've been there and I want to hear it all.
And I'm coming into this conversation, I fully own I'm not a mom. I have a fur baby who is very oppressive, but I did not birth him, nor like just, it's different. I so respect it. So especially, I work with a lot of moms and I always start that conversation with them like, I know, I don't know, But this is what I'm seeing, and I've had success with other moms from like their feedback. I always try and lead in that way, fully respecting. I'm like, you can tell me that this is the most absurd, hard no you've ever experienced. Like, that's fine. But basically what I do in these situations, that kind of reminds me of a client. Ironically, she's a former client. I'm so excited. She's expecting. She's feeling amazing on her pregnancy, but she's a primary care physician. And it was before she was pregnant, but she had 12-hour days in her clinic. And she always would be hard on herself for not like checking every box. So like, we got water, steps, macros, workouts, like all these things that we can do on her work days. And I was like, listen, we need to have different levels of expectation on workday versus non-workday. I'm like, there is no way you are going to hit 10,000 steps spending 12 hours in like one room with your patients. You can't. So what if on your work days, we thought like 5,000 steps was like a big win? What I find is most women just need to get a win in that win column and need to be told they're doing a good job. So half the time it's like me just being like, what sounds even reasonable? Maybe this week when work's crazy, or like you're solo parenting, that happens a lot with my clients. It's like husband's traveling for work, like I'm on my own. It's like, great, this week, what if we don't do formal workouts because childcare fell through? What if we try to get in one walk if the weather is temperate, and we try to drink some water? And at your meals, you can identify protein, fat, carb, veggie at least twice a day. I'm like, does that sound doable? It's more creating a pared down version of something that's just going to keep them going a little, and making it okay to say, just because you don't check every box perfectly, this is when we learn that you can do a little and it still gets to feel good, because all or nothing always leads to nothing.
Yeah.
So this is when we get to change the story.
I love you having different checklists for different like parts of your life. I just read this quote the other day that was like, the magic is in the details. Like, so it's like, do pay attention to like, what can you do on this day, or what can you do on this day? And I heard you say this earlier, that like, I noticed whenever I try to like eat, not diet, but eat better or differently, the week before my period, I am a monster. There are no rules. I will eat the whole chocolate. It'll be a paleo brownie cake, but I'll eat the whole thing, and then I feel like such a failure. And I'm like, then I check in and I'm like, oh wait, it's my hormones. Like, I'll get back on it, But it is so true to like pay attention to those details. Like, what is in this day, and this day is different from this type of day, and that's so useful, because I have a hard time I just blow my life together, and it's good to kind of separate that and look at the details.
And I even have clients who have that, like get really hungry before Aunt Flo comes. It's my job to know how you function like throughout your menstrual cycle.
Yeah.
So I'm going to up you maybe 200-300 calories a day, no problem. So you feel like you have a bigger buffer and you don't feel like you're doing anything wrong.
Oh, it's so good.
And then into your cycle, we bring them back down. So you can like program around the person. Some women don't get that before their cycle, so there's no reason to up calories. But if I have someone who turns into a snarling cookie monster,
I'm the cookie monster.
I'm not going to be like, you need to hold yourself.
Yeah, discipline.
You don't want it bad or not.
Yeah.
Never. I'm like, okay, why don't we up calories? And I'm like, I don't even care where they come from.
Okay.
Probably fat or carb. If we're being like, no one's like, chicken breast.
right.
No one has ever been like, I could go for some tilapia tonight.
Tilapia, right.
No one.
Right.
Eat the yummy things too. Like, let's make room for it, because that's when your body's more going to use them anyway.
Yep. I love you having the like the positive empowerment for all of the things that people come at you with. What are some examples that you kind of notice? A lot of the things maybe our listeners would relate. Like, are there kind of some common things that you hear that you're able to like help people turn it to the positive and get excited about the positive? Are there some examples that could help us?
I really think what comes to mind is I hear a lot in new clients or women like reaching out interested in coaching is, I just need someone to kick my butt. I just need someone to hold. I need someone to give me that tough love. And I'm like, having said those words, like fully vibing with you. And I'm like, does anyone in your life ever tell you you're doing a good job? Does anyone in your life ever validate you? And I think women are so used to weight loss, diet, fitness, people yell a lot on social media, and there's always this guy like, you doing this,
Yep.
you doing, like, I feel like it has this like reputation that needs to be like aggressive and loud and like oppressive.
Yeah, very masculine energy. It's very masculine energy.
It is. And that's when I'm like, okay, I'm like, if you are not holding up your end of the bargain and you do need a swift kick in the pants, no one can give you that like I can. My clients have coined that my come to Jesus talks, apparently behind my back, which is hilarious. But I usually just tell them like, do your worst. Show me like your worst week. And then I find areas where I get to say, how cool you did that during that week. How cool you did that during that week. Because they come to me with a laundry list of like, I didn't do blink, 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 blink. And I'm like, well, you left an entire arsenal of things that you did. All of your kids still have all of their digits. Your dog has all of its teeth and didn't get in any fights at the dog, like at the dog park. Your husband's alive. You're alive. You got in a walk 4 days a week. I honestly try and keep a running list of their wins because everyone just feels like it's, if I don't check every box, I'm not doing enough. I'm not working hard enough. And people think they just need more tough love in those moments. And I had one in particular, she's here in Nashville with us. And he was like, I need someone to like really let me have it. And I was like, okay, I think you need someone to tell you that you're actually doing better than you think you are. Because she has 5 kids. I'm like, I don't have one, and I'm impressed by you as a human. Like, you made it to this coffee shop. Like, good for you. Like,
yes.
And she was like, it took a while, but she was like, you were right. No one tells me I'm doing a good job because I keep everyone else alive. So many women we work with are healthcare providers, business owners, and have families. And their sole purpose, as soon as their eyes open, is to keep everyone else going. And then they get the table scraps that are left. So myself and my coaches, we just say, we're right behind you, keeping you going.
Yeah, and I think that is like, I think that's a testament to the fact that what you just described of people, like women feeling like they're never doing good enough. I think that is what people envision when they think of diet culture, is that like idea that it's never enough, that you're never doing good enough. And that's what I think becomes toxic about it. But there are ways to coach people through healthy weight loss and achieving their ideal weight that don't buy in to that like toxicity of it's never enough, you're not doing enough, you always need to be doing more. Like, so I just think, again, that's like testament to the fact that you ride that line so beautifully of respecting like, hey, this is a journey, right? Not a destination. There's never like some set point that you're going to magically arrive at and like all of your life is suddenly going to be in order and you're going to be the perfect weight and you're going to feel like every time you've reached that point, you still do want more. So like, I think just being realistic about it and coaching people like, hey, today you did enough. You are enough. Who you are is enough. Like, I think that really like rides that line nicely of not buying into the toxicity of that diet culture, but promoting the values of it and making women feel good that they're making an effort to take care of themselves, because ultimately that's what it comes down to, is taking care of yourself, prioritizing your health, like feeling like you deserve to look and feel good. And that's hard. That's hard to achieve. And I love what you're saying of like, I highlight their wins because then you feel good about the effort you're making. And that's far more encouraging than the like, shredded dude on Instagram yelling at you and being like, do 100 more push-ups, like you're in a cage match.
Do more than that. And I appreciate that so much. And I feel like sometimes also in this space, like, yes, I'm always celebrating their wins, is people then can be afraid to push a little. And I have no problem being like, you know what, you do need to level up a little bit here. Like, let's focus on this. I had a conversation with a woman in our Healthy Habits membership. It is literally about getting consistent with the basics. That is it. Like, that's what we're doing there. And a woman was like, she started seeing actual like weight loss results pretty quickly because it was so different than her normal. She wasn't eating protein or drinking water or going for walks. So those simple changes, she was like, my pants fit better. Oh my goodness. Like, she was so excited. And I was so happy for her because she was like, I used to try and count calories and that just never felt good. And now I'm just looking at vegetables and protein and that feels good. And like, so proud of her. Fast forward 2 weeks, she's like, I feel like nothing works for me. My weight loss has stalled. Like it's such a volatile experience just because when we're in it, we can't be objective or logical with ourselves. I always have a coach because we can't see ourselves clearly. We're too emotionally tied to that outcome. And so we bring in that objectivity. And I was like, listen, I so have said those words. I'm like, in reality though, instead of saying nothing works for me, I'm like, we're walking realistically 6,000 to 7,000 steps a day. We're drinking close to 100 ounces of water, 3 servings of vegetables. I'm like, there's room to dial up everything. I'm like, we could walk a little more. We're not doing any formal workouts. We have no idea what your calories are. I'm like, instead of saying nothing works for me when your current approach stops working, look at it. Get curious. What can you toggle with to level up in certain areas to see that forward progress? So it kind of has to be that nice dance of like, you are crushing all these things. Like, how cool. But if you want a little more, gotta give me a little more. Let's dial in here.
I love it. One of these questions made me kind of think of what you're saying now is how do you use data to identify blind spots and improve consistency? So is it that like when people come, they kind of come with like, these are my steps, this is what I ate. So then it's really that data driven. Like talk through all that when a person comes and meets with you.
So it can be a little bit of both. I get some clients, maybe I inherit them from another coach where they're like, I'm wanting a little bit more hands-on experience or whatever reason. If I'm inheriting someone from another coach, they're coming with all the metrics. I know, like they're tracking. I mean, I have an Aura ring on right now. I mean, people come, they're like, do you need my like HRV scores? And I'm like, let's just hear it back a minute. Like, what's your name? Like,
hi.
Nice to meet you. So some people do come in extremely data driven. But like in all my forums, I'm like, what's your step goal? But I always like have in parentheses, I have no clue is an acceptable answer. Like, it's okay. If, like, what's your health and fit? Like, do you have an exercise regimen? Absolutely not. Is a very appropriate answer. So I get very much both ends of the spectrum, and I love to inherit them where they are. Yes, we can track trends. Like I always recommend women, if they are using the scale to like track progress, I'm like 1 day per week puts so much pressure on that moment. When I used to do that, I damn near had a heart attack those mornings. I'm like, come on, I'm in low. Like you put so much pressure on it. I'm like, it kind of takes off the pressure if we just hop on every day because no day actually matters. And we do a weekly average over time. Like, so it's nice to kind of track like bigger picture metrics to take like those data fluctuations mean so much less. But my favorite part of data tracking, and weirdly, I get this question a lot on podcasts, which I love, because I think everybody's looking for like this magic, like I track this metric and it's the best, is what I actually do is just keep track of their lives. And so if someone's coming in, and let's use an easy example. Let's say someone wanted to lose 10 pounds in 10 weeks. Realistically, that could be done if it's like a perfect 10 weeks, but maybe we've been working together for 10 weeks, you wanted to lose 10 pounds, and you lost 5. Oh my gosh, we failed. It's over. This clearly doesn't work for you. It's your metabolism and your hormones and your gut health.
You should give up.
We go there so quickly. The data that I track is I'm like, well, let's rewind over these 10 weeks. Since we've met, like you've gone on spring break. Then when you got back, your kid was home from school for a week because he got sick. And then 2 weeks later, you actually got called to go like onto a job site. So you've navigated a week away. You navigated a sick kid, a job change, and then maybe like your car broke down. Like I keep tab of their lives. I'm like, in reality, you just navigated the gauntlet, and you still lost 5 pounds. So maybe we would have lost 10 if life was sparkles and rainbows. That would be so great for every woman. Wants the world to go on hold and just get to lose weight, and then life can start again when we're done. We all have that little part of us. But life is always going to happen. So the metrics that mean the most to our clients is when we can show you the life that you navigated and say, how cool, you still accomplished this. Because too many women would throw in the towel mid-spring break, and then the kid's sick, and then the car breaks down, and I'm going to start when they go back to school because summer's almost going to hit, and we have vacation in 2 months. Like you can delay for years trying to find that right time. And when women finally commit to us, life doesn't stop. And all we do is show them, look at what you navigated and you still did lose 5 pounds instead of like, you didn't lose 10 pounds in 10 weeks, because that's what they see. We bring in context.
I feel like you are also a therapist in your business. This is incredible. I was like, you would help me feel so much better about my life. This is really cool. Like, I love that you do this because, like, when I think of weight loss journey, it is a total separate idea from my life. Like, it is black and white. It got no business being in my life. It is numbers on a scale. And for you to be like, no, look at it in your real life. Like, that to me is like, you like broke my brain a little bit of like, oh yeah, it's got to be in real life. Like, I'm going to sit with that and let that get in my brain. That's like brilliant coaching. Good job.
Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome.
And I face this.
Compartmentalized.
Yes, total compartmentalized. Yeah.
Sure did. I feel like as health coaches, we do end up being, like part therapists, but I'm very much staying in your lane. I refer to so many mental health professionals and I'm like, listen, you have so many great things you're navigating. Why don't you talk to someone over there about these 12? Because I'm going to focus on these 3.
I can do this part.
Yeah. That's what I'm really good at. Like, I'll be a professional hype girl, but like, there's people for that others.
Yep. Yeah. That deep stuff. I'll get you a number. Yeah.
Well, and I was going to say that ties in so well to like one of our other questions for you, which is that sort of I'll start on Monday mindset. And I navigate this with my own nutrition clients, where they're like, I actually don't meet as a general rule with nutrition clients November or December because I got so tired of spending hours coming up with like a personalized nutrition plan and looking at their food allergies and optimizing their hormones and having them be like, oh, well, but it's Christmas and it's my birthday and it's New Year's. And so I'll start in February. And then it's like everything that I spent hours detailing for them when February comes around, do you think they start? No. So I actually just won't meet with clients during that like holiday season because they don't like, they come up with a lot of reasons as to why. And I get it, right? Like at work, the break room is filled with everybody's leftover desserts and cookies and candies. And so I get why it's challenging during that season. And I just meet people where they're at. And I'm like, no, we'll start in February so that you get my plan and you start it right away. Otherwise you lose motivation. But how does that like mindset, like, oh, I'll start when the holidays are over. I'll start on Monday. I'll start at the new year. Like, how does that impact people's journey and sort of predict these like challenging like future ways of thinking about their health journey?
No, this is such a great question. And like to your point, like the holidays are so hard. And so that's like, so my whole membership program, the VS Healthy Habits membership, I did a free Facebook group 2 years running. And it was literally like, I'm like, what do women need to do to like drink the glass of wine and have the cookie, but not feel like a stuffed sausage bringing in the new year? Their words, not mine. I stole that from one of the intake forms. So I started the quote healthy all the way holiday challenge. And it was like during the holidays, get 3 servings of vegetables a day, eyeball like 100 grams of protein, water steps. Like it was literally the membership program. When I was closing it down, it was a free Facebook group over the holidays. They were all like, so we're going to continue with this, right? Like, where are you going? I was like, oh, this should be, you want this? Cool. So I made the membership off of the need because women are like, I don't have the capacity to do anything complex and like formal weight loss. But I don't want to start over. I don't want to start like let's say they started with me in like, early November, to your point, like that's when the holiday, like pumpkin spices everywhere. Like no one wants to go on the diet when all you want is a pumpkin spice latte in your fall boots. Like, let's get serious. But they're also like, I don't want to start January 6 steps back from where I am now. So I'm like, why don't we develop like habits that can break even? But to your point of like always delaying, starting on Monday, what I just love to do with women is agree. Because it's not going to be like, no, this is how you need to think. That's the quickest way to put up a wall, having been there. I didn't need someone to convince me I was wrong. I need you to tell me why I was right, but then provide me an alternative. That's how we learn. And so I'm always like, I feel you. So this is going to be crazy. But I kind of just play devil's advocate. I'm like, okay, so then January comes. Ideally, we probably spent so much more over the holidays. And then your kid has a birthday mid-January, so definitely February. Oh, but when February hits, that's when that big work deadline always comes. And then the spring break is like 5 weeks away. You're going to be planning that vacation. So after spring break is definitely the right time. But then, that's right, there's Easter right after. And then you have that kid's like big like play things. And then it's summer. Summer's definitely not the right time. So I can take you through an entire year and completely validate why it's never the right time. And then I have to go back to this. You cannot tell my husband I said this. Ugh. He said this one thing that was so good. It makes me, so don't tell him I said that. This was like the best thing he's ever said. He doesn't know this. And I was in a bad work environment. I was just so stressed when I was working clinically. And I kept being like, I'm just so ready for the weekend. I'm just so ready for the weekend. I'd be saying that Monday or Tuesday. And he was just like, you're wishing your entire life away. I was like, oof. Like that hurt. Like it was so powerful coming from him that I couldn't let him know how good that was. Or whatever. Like off into the other room. But I always go back to that with my clients, and I'm like, if we always wait until Monday, you are going to delay your diet for the rest of your life because we're always going to be waiting. I was like, honestly, your body doesn't know if you ate that pound cake on Monday, Wednesday, 2 p.m., 3 p.m., 4 a.m. Like, it does not care. All days are the same. So sure, are you going to maybe be more careful if you start on a Monday? Absolutely. Sure. Maybe. It is kind of, I guess, weird to start on a Wednesday, but why not? Your body doesn't know. You get to know. I try to get women to just not throw in the towel. You didn't ruin the week. You don't just because Wednesday went rogue and you went happy hour and you actually had too many cocktails and you came and had popcorn for dinner. Most women have done that at some point. You didn't ruin the week. What if we just, the next day, you just dust it off? Get back on your merry way. I try to agree with and help develop the case around how we can get starting for a year straight. And sometimes when they hear it that way, it's like, okay, we can do it.
I love that. But don't wish your life away. Your husband is brilliant. Okay, we won't tell him at all. Yeah.
We'll never let him
I just had a question about your life in particular. So let's assume you're in the maintaining stage and you're not in a shredding stage. What does your days or like your weeks look like? Like breakfast, lunch, what are kind of your goals personally? So I'm just curious.
It kind of depends. And if I love food, like food is my love language. So if I'm much more flexible in maintaining, I do enjoy macro tracking, but I might be one where I'm like, I'm going to have, oatmeal for breakfast all week. I'm going to make a lunch with, I love like sweet potato. I love potatoes. Like, it's so delicious. Or maybe I want like pasta and I'll kind of make the same thing. And like dinner, I'm just kind of eyeballing like protein, fat, carb, fiber. And I just get consistent. I don't reinvent the wheel completely day over day. I generally like healthy foods. I always make sure I'm eating enough, but even on maintenance phases, I typically track my macros at least 3 days a week because I'm a foodie. My eyes are bigger than my stomach. Like if I could have a superpower, screw flying. I want to eat and drink with reckless abandon with no ramification.
Yeah.
Sign me up for that superpower. I'm tracking macros fairly regularly all the time, kind of as a checks and balances system. And training, if I'm in maintenance, I might be working out 3 days a week and doing weight training and only doing cardio in the form of walking my dog and going on hikes. I picked up tennis. I'll play pickleball with my family. I love an active lifestyle. But in a cut, I might be training for, at the most I've ever done is like 5 days per week, with cardio after on all of those days, dialing and tracking macros every single day, really minimizing alcohol. So I kind of look at it like, if I take 2 steps back and I look at my approach to my overall long-term weight management, because if I don't focus on it, I will gain weight. I've definitely tested that theory. It's easy for my body to put weight on. So I can complain about it and do nothing, or I can do something about it. So my do something about it is always having some checks and balances on my nutrition always, because I love food. I do get choosy with alcohol. I made a choice a long time ago. I don't drink during the week. The only time I break it is like special occasions, like Christmas falls on a holiday, or like Christmas falls during the week, or your birthday. I get to choose my worth it moments. But I do a lot of like women in business networking. I was at a happy hour event on Wednesday night, because today happens to be International Women's Day on the day we're recording.
Yeah,
Wednesday night, I was at this cocktail-y gala thing. I didn't have a drink. It was easy for me to say, no thanks, I don't drink during the week. I have to make some regular sacrifices, but they make me feel good because it has my best interest at heart. So that's kind of how I approach it, is I don't drink during the week. I usually have some form of checks and balances on my nutrition, and I'm always exercising regularly to some degree, but how intense and how much and how meticulous I am with macro tracking varies depending on my season. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, totally. I loved it. I like to see how people's lives work. So, yeah. And you're doing great with yours. So, that's wonderful.
So far, so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, since we were talking about the social media and the influence of social media, I want to dive into something, which is if you are on, like, say, Instagram, which is now, like, I've been griping about this for a while, but now Instagram is like 80% ads, right? So It used to be that you could look at the content of the people you follow, which on my Renegade Nutrition account is all like health professionals, and I like to see what they're coming out with. Like, I like to see what Mark Hyman is recommending right now, or Dr. William Lee, like what his latest, like, eat this to prevent cancer thing is. Like, I like to stay on top of that. And now Instagram is like 80% ads, and you don't even know when you're looking at an ad. It's really annoying. Anyway, if anybody has spent any amount of time on Instagram, if you've searched anything for, like, maintaining a healthy weight, suddenly your feed is going to be filled with, like, supplements and, like, protocols and, like, all these things, right? Like, and all of them are different. It's like, just do this one workout. Like, everything else is garbage. You don't need to do anything else.
This incline percentage.
Yes.
Like, this is like, that's my favorite right now. I'm like, really? That incline is what I was missing all those years? Wow.
Yes.
That is that's funny.
Can we just address that? Like, what are the foundations for achieving a healthy weight? And, like, how is it, like, Instagram is going to tell you a supplement can replace all of that, but we know that's not true. Can we just address this?
Right.
Yes. Oh my goodness. And I really do think some women have a need for some supplemental support, but they reach there too quickly. Like, and because I'm always like, why do we need it anyway? Maybe you have let's just go with, like, trendy stuff. Maybe you have a sluggish thyroid. That one seems to be all over right now. But you don't actually need thyroid support. You need to own the fact that you skipped breakfast for the past 2 decades. Lunch is just a coffee for me, thanks. And you're so tired by the time you hit dinner, after you went to boot camp, after eating nothing all day, that you have a glass of wine while deciding what to have for dinner, and then say you're too tired to cook anyway, so you eat chips and then you go to bed. You have a sluggish thyroid. You don't need the supplement. The supplement, you might as well flush it down the toilet if you don't address what caused it anyway. So it's more about, like, what does your lifestyle look like? Are you sleeping? If you're not sleeping, no wonder your adrenals suck and your cortisol's all over the place. Maybe you don't need an adrenal supplement. Maybe you need a regular sleep schedule. It goes back to that, like our little membership. I'm like, you need sleep. You need some intentional movement with steps. You need water. You need some protein, ladies. You got to get that. And some vegetables. Like, even our one-on-one clients, we can order blood work. We can look at your hormones. We can order the GI maps, the stool test, and we can do all of that. I mean, like, I'm a science nerd. I love that stuff. But if you are not drinking at least, 110 ounces of water regularly, if you're not eating an appropriate amount of fiber that matches your overall calorie intake, if we're not actively sleeping with intention, I get kids are a different ball game, but, like, if we're not doing our fundamentals, I'm like, why on earth are we looking at anything fancy if you can't do anything basic? If you can't drink 3 Stanleys worth of water a day, you are not going to remember to take umpteen pills on some creepy protocol that you saw on TikTok.
I love you. I know. I was like, you need to be everyone in the world's coach because you are so you're meant to do this. It's so good.
I'm here for it.
Yep.
I think it's so true. And I think, too, what we're missing is, like, we're so wrapped up in this very fast-paced lifestyle where we're so out of touch with, like, our circadian rhythm. And I love that you hit the point of, like, skipping breakfast, which now is being glorified as intermittent fasting. And then, like, just having
routine breakfast, too.
Routine breakfast. Yeah, like, or, like, just having coffee for lunch, which is terrible on an empty stomach. And, like, yeah, I just love that you're hitting all the points of, like, we kind of glorify this busy lifestyle.
Yeah.
And and that slow, intentional living of like waking up with the sunrise, eating a healthy protein packed breakfast, like it just doesn't sound as sexy, you know?
Oh, because it's not.
Because it's not.
Right.
Not. Like, what did Brene Brown teach us? You can't shame anyone into doing anything you want, and we have got to stop using productivity as a badge of honor and like a status symbol.
Yes.
Like 1,000%.
Yes, because it's like we're glorifying that.
Yeah.
Too quickly. And like, I get it. It sounds tantalizing. A magic pill, a magic supplement, even like semaglutide, Ozempic, like all of those things. Like, am I worried the direction some of these things are going? Yes. But I can't come in and like judge or fault any of the women reaching for that, thinking nothing works for them when they've maybe failed 5,000 group programs. Like, I understand the thought process, and I just have to own, and I joke about this on social media plenty, and like, it's not my finest moment. But when I was at my heaviest, and I was desperate to lose weight, if I had someone that I trusted, maybe followed them online forever, or I just thought they really knew what they were talking about, and they were like, Hannah, the key to losing weight and keeping it off is to finish each of your meals with a teaspoon of rat poison. I said, what brand do you recommend, and do you have a discount code? I went without reservation, because I know what that level of desperation feels like. So I always, again, I try to like be like, I feel you, and I have been there, but where does this end? Like, why are we okay justifying maybe $1,200 out of pocket a month for these injections, but we don't have it in the budget for a $400 a month program to teach you healthy lifestyle habits? Yeah, that's so much more work. I so get that. But like, what's the end game here?
Yep.
Absolutely. And that's where I think it is. Like, we're so busy that we're like, oh, the supplement, that's what we need. And we're like, oh, but being busy makes you important, and it like validates your self-worth. And so we kind of drive this thing where it's like we are busy in order to feel like we matter and like we have worth, and that we're contributing to society. And then because we're busy, we're not taking care of ourselves. And then because we're not taking care of ourselves, we're feeling crappy and sick. And because we don't have time to take care of ourselves, we reach for the supplement. We reach for the like, oh, just do this one exercise per day. Just drink green tea for a week. Like, those are the things we reach for, because that's like what we think we have time for, because we're too busy celebrating being busy to celebrate just being alive. My God.
I was going to say what my husband said was a very smart thing, where since we're saying how cool our husband, they say smart things. Don't tell him he said this, but when Ozempic came out, he was like, oh my gosh, that's like the book I read in school when he was in elementary. I was like, we didn't read that book. He was like, the Blue Dot book. Have either of you read this book? In elementary school, he had, it's fascinating. It was just a kid book, but he said in this town, all the people got to eat some sort of dessert. And then there came this magical box in the city. And then they would go inside this box and they would get a blue dot, but it took away that candy or the bad thing from that dessert. So every day you could just go get the blue dot. So pretty soon in town, like years later, everyone is having just blue dots all on their arms, and everyone's covered in blue dots. And then all of a sudden, a couple years later in this book, when people go into this box for the blue dot, they stop coming out, and that's how the book ends. Is like, now people. It is a children's book, and they're covered in blue dots, like all over. And so now I think of that with Ozempic. Now that I think of that, because it's like, well, I don't mind a few blue dots. What's a tattoo here and there? You know what I mean? But in the book, the people, they're covered in blue dots. Their whole body gets taken over.
They just wanted to do whatever they wanted.
Because they just wanted the dessert and then the blue dot. And so then, once they're all blue, they don't come out of the blue box, the box anymore.
What school your husband
I
went
really
to.
was like, wow, that's actually... That's what I thought. I was like, can I get a hold of this book and read it to my kids? Like, every time you smoke a cigarette, you only get like so.
Please excuse me while I go to Amazon and find this book.
The blue dot. I know. I have to ask his third grade teacher what this book is. But now I've kind of thought about that, about like the Ozempic thing, because, hey, listen, I like to dabble with cheats because I like to be a cheater. But I think of that, like, you only get so many cheats in life till you're full of blue dots. That's all I'm going to say.
Till you're full of blue dots.
Till your whole body is... Isn't that wild? So there you go, friends. If somebody knows this Blue Dot book, please put it in our
I
notes.
kind of feel like this might just be something Kevin invented in his brain out of like a traumatic childhood experience.
Oh, it might be. He's pretty accurate, though. I definitely would embellish. He's pretty accurate. I'll try to get the title.
That's true. Kevin's very straightforward.
Oh, he's very. Yep.
It's probably like the book and the things in it are all different than what you just said.
That's true. The details, but it's probably not a box.
It might have just. It's like a game of telephone. It might have just gotten a little bit translated.
But the idea is there.
I'm ready for the next episode to be you and your husband can be like, this is what I actually said.
Yes. He's like, they were red dots. They were not blue dots. I'm here to set the record straight.
There were no dots. It was a square.
Yes, I'm square.
There was no box.
And they didn't die. They actually became millionaires at the end. That's it, friends. Take those epic. You'll become a millionaire. You heard it here.
You heard it here first.
You heard it here. Disclaimer. Put a little asterisk by K on that.
This is like the conversation where I said that sugar was more addictive than cocaine, and we had to put in a disclaimer that I was not advocating for cocaine. I feel now we need this disclaimer. You're not advocating for
don't actually. How many blue dots do you want? I don't know. It's okay.
Yeah, disclaimer, real quick.
Yeah, medical. Oh, shoot. There it is. Well, now this one can't go on the YouTube now that we flagged the word Ozempic, I think. We'll see.
YouTube.
We always get flagged when we say certain words.
Bunch of boobs.
It's like saying like Voldemort at Hogwarts. Any Harry Potter fans, like, you can't say that name at Hogwarts.
Yes.
Right here. Like,
yes.
It's a no-no.
It's
he
who must not be named. Thank you very much.
Okay.
I have chickens and goats named after Harry Potter characters. No big deal.
I love you two Harry Potter nerds doing this. This is great. I don't know any of it.
I don't know what made me do this. It was on Instagram. I put up in my stories, and sometimes I just do like fun questions. Like the one that always surprises me is I ask people if they eat cottage cheese with a fork or a spoon.
Oh.
The conversations are people are passionate about cottage cheese utensil use apparently.
Oh.
But then I'll do like, are you team like, Reese Puffs or Cinnamon Toast Crunch, pancakes or waffles? I just love like funny things like that.
Yeah.
But randomly, I'm like, what house would you want to be in at Hogwarts if you're at Harry Potter? And then the very next story, I'm like, what house would you actually be in? And everyone's answer, everyone was like, I want to be in Gryffindor. And then everyone realistically was like, I'd be in Hufflepuff. They're like, I'd be in Slytherin. Let's get serious. I'm so vindictive. Like, the people were like, it was like a confessional. It was so funny.
So good. Well, now I'm going to have to read the books, guys, so I know all of these references. But I love for any of our listeners that know.
Also, like, that just made me think of, like, here's a random trivia fact. I have never in my life had cottage cheese.
What?
Never.
What?
I
make these killer cottage cheese pancakes with 3 eggs. You would love them. They are incredible. I've had them every day for 6 months because I do that kind of thing.
I know you talk about them.
Yeah.
Listen, here's the thing. You know in Star Wars when, like Luke is like dying and then the tauntaun dies and then they cut open the tauntaun and like all its fat spills out and he like shoves him into the tauntaun like in Star Wars. That's what cottage cheese reminds me of, is like the insides of the tauntaun as it like gets cut open and it spills out.
Oh my God.
Because of Star Wars, you won't eat cottage cheese.
I just think it's like I don't know where the association came from. It just reminds me of like innards. I don't know, but that's what I see and I'm like,
I mean, for the sake of your listeners, I'm not going to give any details, but like when I was in grad school, I mean, I had cadavers. Like we had like human cadavers. There was 4 of us to a body that donated themselves to science. Like mad respect for that experience. Mm-hmm. But there are certain things that look like certain foods, and there are certain smells that I will never be able to unassociate with certain foods that I have not touched for that lab. Like there's a very specific smell of what happens when you cut through a bone. Like you have to use like bone saws to like you like dissect the body. It's a great learning experience, and again, so grateful for it. And like you have to just respect the families that allowed their loved ones to donate to our program and whatnot. But there is a really distinct smell when you cut through a human bone. And I haven't touched the food since. And I will not tell you what it is because I will ruin it for everyone forever.
Fair. But did any part of that body look like cottage cheese?
Nope.
Okay, see, you can eat cottage cheese.
I can't. I don't know what it was. I think it always like looked gross to me as a kid, and I think I just was.
Yeah. I love cottage cheese.
I should just
literally
try it
have
now.
it on the daily
I should
now.
just try it now.
Dairy's okay for my tum-tum. Yeah.
And that's true. I can't. My daughter is sensitive to cow's milk, so I can't do it yet. But maybe when a few years from now, when we're not breastfeeding anymore, gosh, I'll try it. But yeah, I don't know.
what brought me into cottage cheese, so like everyone like loves to do it a lot with like fruit. Like you see like pineapple in cottage cheese or like melon, and I do find that delicious. But what actually got me into it was how my mom ate it. You'd have like a cup of cottage cheese, slice up some like really flavorful tomatoes in the summer, and like pepper. Salt and pepper. Like she made a savory version. Like that was that's how I learned how to eat cottage cheese.
Like a bruschetta.
It's still my favorite way. Like that more like tomatoes and black pepper in it rather than like pineapple.
I think I could lean into that.
Yes, that sounds amazing.
I don't like sweet with savory most of the time.
Yeah.
I just don't like like fruit salsas are offensive to me.
Oh, yeah. No, I like the mango ones.
Potato salsa over mango salsa, 10 out of 10 times. But I mean, if mango salsa is the only option, like, all right, let's go for it.
I'm gonna eat it. Yeah, I'm gonna eat it.
Yeah, fruit on salad. Fruit on salads walks a fine line, but there just are things I won't touch.
Yeah. Okay, and I'm going to give everyone this cottage cheese recipe right now. Y'all have to listen to this, okay? And you would love this. It's
I'm like looking for a pen.
Get a pen, okay? And I'll like we can text it to you. Okay, it is so it's per serving. So I do 3 eggs, 1/8 cup almond flour, 1/8 cup cassava flour because we're gluten free right now. But you could do a 1/4 cup of whatever flour, a tablespoon and a half of coconut oil. And a 1/2 cup of cottage cheese and a little bit of vanilla. That's it. And then you spin it up and put it as pancakes. It is the yummiest gluten-free pancake ever. High protein. And it is so good. I have it every day. So
I've even seen people, I don't know if either of you guys have gotten on that like Ninja Creamy trend. I mean, it's like taking over the world of people making protein ice creams with these like, Ninja Creamy things. So I got one, and it is fun to play with it, but I was like, I don't know what to do with this machine, so I just started reading what other people were doing. I was like, I'm not going to reinvent the wheel. I'll just make something that sounds good. And I'm seeing a lot of Ninja Creamy protein ice cream recipes blending cottage cheese into it to give it more of like a higher protein, like creamy flavor. So I tried it. You can't taste the cottage cheese. Like the ice cream didn't have a savory note. It just gave it a nicer like texture. But I'm like, you could get the same thing out of doing like an avocado in there or something.
Yes.
That sounds really good.
Yes, and the cottage cheese cookie dough. Have you seen that one with the Ninja? Cottage cheese cookie dough. I tried it. It's okay. You definitely are like, this is healthy cookie dough. I mean, I think you throw in some stevia or something, but anyway.
See, I'm out of touch. I've never heard of this Ninja Creamy trend. And
I do it all in my Ninja.
Now, if your phone is in earshot, you're going to get ads for it.
It is. I'm expecting it. Look, listen, my phone gives me advertisements for things I've dreamed about at night, right? Like it's just inevitable. And you turn all those features off, and it doesn't matter. Like you're like, don't listen to my voice. I don't need this. I won't say her name because she's going to respond on Kay's computer. But I'm like, I don't need you listening all the time. I'll just turn that off. It doesn't matter. You still get advertisements.
Yeah. She says you can't turn me off. Yeah.
Hilarious. I'm working with a speaking coach right now. I have a keynote speech at the end of this month to give here in Nashville. I'm really excited for the opportunity. So I'm having a coach help me kind of like potently talk about what I want to speak on. And he was like, I saw this advertisement on YouTube. Like he was trying to remember the name of the guy. He's like, but I can't seem to find it now. I wanted you to see it to like have a representation of like what I was like talking about with you. And so we shot me a message on Instagram, and he's like, this is the guy's name, but I can't find his ads. I'm like, say it 5 times next to your phone. He sent me the ad within 10 minutes.
That is hilarious.
Just say it enough next to your phone, like it'll find you. We don't have to go find it anymore.
Life got easy, guys. You can do it.
Absolutely.
Well, congrats on the keynote. What's it called that you're going to speak at?
I'm still debating on a name, but I really want to resonate with the audience that healthy habits relatively are boring. Like no one has ever made themselves feel better elbows deep in a cucumber. And no one has ever called their best friend saying like, I have the best news. Would you like to get some tepid lemon water and discuss it? No, you want cocktails, you want ice cream. Like I want to talk about how I fully understand healthy habits are boring. But I occupy a very small percent of the population. Research shows between 90 and 95% of dieters who find success put all the way back on, if not more, within 5 years. So there's a solid 5% of us who don't. So we need to stop looking at what everyone else is doing and learn about how to get in this 5% while leveling that, yes, healthy habits are boring, but there's something that we do that's different, and I want people to learn how.
Preach. I want to go to it. It's so good. It's so good.
And you've had a lot of success with your program. So for anybody who's listening, how do they learn more about your program? How do they find you? and how can they connect?
Well, thank you so much for asking. I did have to laugh. It was probably a month ago at this point. I got a DM on Instagram from a former client. I have not worked with her in 4 years. I had to go look up our last email exchange, like when she was formerly a client. She's still enjoying using what she learned with me. And 4 years later, she was like, "Girl, you're the best investment I've ever made." She goes, "The order is you, Jimmy Choo's, my husband." Best investments I've ever made. I got a kick out of it. I literally put it into a reel. It made me laugh. But one of the easiest places to find me if you're on social media is on Instagram. I am at Dr. Hannah, drhannah.healthcoach. Also, that's pretty much where I'm going to be on all social media platforms. On LinkedIn, it's Dr. Hannah Brandt. And I do have a website. It's HLB Lifestyle.com, and there you can download a free ebook, my 5 top tips for trying to get to that 5% and truly losing the weight and keeping it off. But if you're on Instagram, you're on LinkedIn, on Facebook, I am very easy to find.
Oh, we want to.
I love it. We'll link it all
in the show notes.
That's amazing.
And I'm glad you said it, because I would say our 95 to 5% success rate is how many times we say we'll link something in the show notes and how often we actually do. The 5% is how often we actually do.
You'll be part of our 5%. We got this.
So we've said it out loud, and I will say we'll link it in the show notes.
We'll do it.
And we'll see.
We'll see.
But
and if we don't,
go to
HLB.
HLB. Say your website one more time. Your HLB Lifestyle.
Yes, HLBlifestyle.com. My initials are Hannah Lynn Brandt. So HLB was kind of an easy parlay, but we've kind of also spun it to, it can stand for healthy, lean body.
Love that. Love that. And I'll follow you on Instagram right now. I love that. Well, thank you.
It's a little wild over there, so.
Yep, that's right. I'll skip through the ads and we'll get there.
Apparently, people are like, "You're my guilty pleasure during lunch." I'm like, "What's guilty about it? I'm having a great time. I have no guilt over here."
Yes, I'm in it then. I love it. Well, thank you, Hannah, for being on here today. And I was just trying to boil down in my brain while you're talking. You have such a gift of anyone's negative shadow self or stuff, you just are positive and can spin it to being excited about the empowerment, and it is phenomenal what you're doing. I know that you're helping so many women, and I think that is so great, and you are really good at life. Good job.
Well, thank you so much. I cannot tell you how much I appreciate just being on your podcast and connecting with you ladies like this. I'm just such a fan of your work, and I truly love that as women in a similar, in the same industry, we can find power in collaborating and sharing our message. People need to hear what all 3 of us have to say, and it doesn't have to come from a place of competition. So I am just so grateful for the opportunity to be on your podcast. So thank you for having me.
Yes,
of course. I wholeheartedly agree. There's room for all.
Absolutely. And for our listeners, go be renegades.
Go be renegades.
Thank you for listening to the Renegade Nutrition Podcast.
Please keep in mind that this podcast is an educational service that provides general health information. The content on this podcast is not a substitute for direct, personal, professional medical care and diagnosis. You should always talk to your doctor before making a dietary or lifestyle change. Go be renegades!
Go be renegades!